name's Sean, aka Swords to Plow. This is my Jor Kadeen the Prevailer deck. Alright, so here we go. General, of course, Jor Kadeen. Start off. So as we go through the basic lands, this deck is basically a red zone deck. All it wants to do is swing in hard and fast and get rid of people as quickly as possible. So we will put in everything we can to do that. Any sort of lands that help you accelerate faster than normal are helpful. You want to be able to get ahead of people before they get to set up their combos. Hold the Bandit Lord's always nice. You want to be able to swing with your creatures as soon as they come into play. I'm always a fan of the hideaway lands, particularly Spinerock Knoll in this deck. You'll be doing enough damage to set this off, and if you won't, other players will. Every now and then, all you're drawing is lands, so lands that are creatures that Jor Kadeen can pump are nice. Inkmoth Nexus is particularly good. It'll get more one-shot kills than any other card in the deck. On the back is Sunhome Fortune Legion. With all the different equipments in the deck, having double strike gives you double triggers. Every now and then you got to get rid of a pesky maze, so you need a few cards to do that for you. And then just need a few things to create mana and to fix mana. It's mostly a mono white deck with a little bit of red, but in two color decks you really just want to be as consistent as possible and have as much time playing cards and less time worrying about how much mana you have and what mana you have. And of course, always like shiny cards that are signed. Can't get enough of them. Flagstones is really nice. I play a few Armageddon effects in the deck, and to be able to restart is very good. You also want a few lands to set up the Metalcraft and Jor Kadeen as quickly as possible. You want Metalcraft as soon as he hits the board. It helps him and all other creatures. It's important to remember. Because speed is really key when you're trying to go an aggro strategy, there's not enough mana acceleration in the world to make this go fast enough. You're trying to race combos, you really want to be able to have the strength to kill somebody in the first 5 to 7 turns, and if you don't have enough mana to back that up, it's not possible. Of course, Moxes are always nice. In this deck, since you're going for Metalcraft anyways, Mox Opal fits in perfectly. Again, because the Armageddon effects, being able to search up lands later helps you recover faster than your opponents. And I like to splurge on anything that costs 0 and gives me mana. I figure is a good thing. Then of course we just have the basics for commander decks. Sensei's Divining Top and Scroll Rack are great for flipping through and getting exactly what you need. Crucible of Worlds is there, again, for the Armageddon effects, and every now and then the only way you can really stop somebody is to put them in a strip mine lock. Makes you feel bad, but it works. Sun Titans to help you get back equipments, lands, etc. It's a very low mana curve deck, so Sun Titan gets back most of the deck. Steel Hellkite's one of my favorite artifact creatures now, for getting rid of other people's artifact acceleration. Puresteel Paladin, I include in here because he's foil, and because there's so many equipments that he ends up being mana acceleration in his own right. Whispersilk Cloak, always good for protecting Jor Kadeen and sneaking through damage. I think most people realize how good Misawa's GTA is. Wish I could draw it more often. This is actually my favorite sword, being able to return the creatures. There's so few in the deck, so I need the recursion, and I, aside from Sun Titan, have no other recursion for creatures. I've been surprised with Sword and Body of Mine. The mill strategy doesn't matter so much as long as you can get the token from it out. And again, when other aggro strategies are out, Loxodon Warhammer really helps to give yourself the upper hand. My favorite equipment in the deck, there's a Sunforger package in here. It really gives it a toolbox ability. It means I have to carry less answers in the deck to be able to answer the same number of threats. Probably one of the most underplayed swords in EDH. I don't think people realize how much it pumps your whole team. It gives a single creature double battle cry, so very helpful. Again, one of the better known swords, very effective for just getting a lot done. Unlike control decks, you are going to still tap out afterwards, but you want to do as much as you can as quick as you can. Lightning Greaves probably doesn't need any explanation. Another one that really just goes in this deck, it's to get double triggers off the swords in the Jite. And one of my newest favorite commander cards, Nim Death Metal. It's hard to find decks that this doesn't go well in anymore. Important to remember that it gets rid of both the creature's type and its color altogether, so giving an Intimidate means that only black and artifact creatures can block it regardless of the original color. Skull Clamp. There's a couple token generators in the deck, and white has a really hard time at getting card advantage or card draw, so Skull Clamp really helps fix that. Early game Sword of War and Peace, and against blue decks in particular, the draw bunch is just crippling. I've never seen more damage pumped out by one of the swords. I really underestimated this card when it first came out. Sword of Fire and Ice, obviously good. I think most people have played with it. Another way to get card advantage in a deck that is very hard for. Giving your creatures his haste, I'm more than happy to pay 3 for it. Argentum Armor. Pretty often you're either not going to pay to put it into play or not going to pay to equip it, so the 6 and 6 isn't too important, and it gives you just the Vindicate ability to get rid of any of the pesky permanents. And now, of course, the unfun part of the deck, Armageddon effects and board wipers. Always important. You run very few creatures, and you don't just play all of them out at once, so you need to be able to wrath in case somebody gets the upper hand on you. There's not a lot of spot removal in the deck. It's better just to wipe the board and restart with one creature. My particular favorite is Phyrexian Rebirth. Since you're used to swinging with just one creature at a time, having one giant creature helps. Then we go into the token generators. Mirror Battlesphere is perfect because it sets off Metalcraft all by itself, and the damage output it has with Jor Kadeen on board is just massive. Another token generator, obviously if you can go ultimate with it, you generally win, but just putting 1/1 soldiers into play and being able to get some evasion is great. Luminarch Ascension, obviously amazing in group games. If you can drop this first or second turn, it's really hard for people to recover. Probably one of the most unfair cards in the deck. Elvish Norn really makes it so it's almost impossible for most decks to recover against you. It kills all utility creatures and stops most of the problem generals. Signal Pest is basically in there. I run a Ranger of Eos package, but the battle cry isn't insignificant, and the evasion helps. He's always bigger. Return to Dust, my favorite Naturalize effect. I love being able to exile permanents when people are playing things like Darksteel Forge. Of course, obviously one of my favorite cards, period. This is great. This is generally just a Sunforger target when somebody casts some sort of a time stretch effect or anything that you really want to abuse yourself. Spot removal, always good. Shattering Pulse is particularly good with Sunforger because you can pay the buyback once you activate Sunforger, and then you can start taking out the artifact-based decks. And I include just one tuck spell in there. It doesn't come up very often. I haven't tucked a general with it lately. It's generally used for planeswalkers. There's not many other answers in here. And then we've got a couple just basic beaters who are really good when equipped and give you a little bit of a mana dump early on when you don't have much else to cast. Core Duel is particularly good in this deck. You'll always have a piece of equipment. Marin Crusader is good in most decks. It comes with protection, and the double strike is not insignificant. And of course, one of the cards that is always unfair in EDH, 6/6 lifelink flyer for one. Kind of hard to turn down. Okay, and then we have some tutors. You just want to be able to get up the particular equipment you want. Make sure you have the protections that you need against different decks. Stony Giant's one of my favorites. Remember, when you play this, you can attack with him with Vigilance. Once he's declared as an attacker, you can tap him and equip him. So he has a lot of combat tricks himself. Steel Shaper's Gift, of course, just almost as good as the Enlightened Tutor, not quite. And then Ranger of Eos, you saw there's a number of 1-mana cost creatures. It's giving me a little bit of card advantage, considering white does have a difficult time with it. And then, of course, our favorite of all time, never banned, of course, Stoneforge Mystic, still complaining Commander, and I guess Legacy is it. And then probably the worst of the tutors, and that's not saying much, Tajnar Swordsmith. Just putting the artifacts into play so there's no chance of them getting countered is always nice. Thanks for watching CMDR decks. Please subscribe and favorite.